And now, in studio, bringing his Midwest values from the Show Me State to the land of San Diego. He's a triple threat, licensed as an attorney, mortgage broker, and a top producing realtor who's crushing the competition. Here to deliver you what's happening in the trenches of the market. Your host, Michael Gaddis.
Welcome back to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of FrontierLoanGroup.com. That's FrontierLoanGroup.com. And as most of you listeners know, I frequently talk about reverse mortgages. And you know what? There's a reason for that. The reason that I talk about reverse mortgages so much is because I believe in them. I believe that they are an incredible product for people that need them. And anybody who challenges me on that, I welcome them to come and come with me for a week and visit the seniors that I meet during the course of a week throughout Southern California, not just locally. I mean, I was in Inglewood last week, I was in Long Beach, Victorville. I'm all over Southern California. It is amazing the situation that some of our seniors are living in. And some of them are living in Southern California relying on Social Security alone to sustain them. And I know a lot of us say, well, couldn't they do something else? I mean, don't they have an alternative? And I know a lot of financial planners, isn't there an alternative they can do? The reality is no. I mean, they're in this situation and their house is their major asset. And it is something that can allow them to sustain their life, their quality of life, during the later part of their years. And I think that it's really important that people realize that reverse mortgages are a very powerful tool. And if you understand them and you understand how flexible they are, you can tailor a reverse mortgage to do just about anything you want to help you in your later years. And I think the key is education and knowledge. Now, recently, the FHA has made some more changes to the reverse mortgage program. Not huge changes, but fine-tuning and they're overhauling it. And one of the things that they're doing is they're actually making it more restrictive. So they're making it a little bit tougher for people to qualify based on the financial assessment and some other things. So there's a lot of people who are listening right now who might be considering or on the fence of a reverse mortgage that might wait so long that they're gonna wait themselves right out of eligibility. So I really kind of encourage you that if you have been considering a reverse mortgage, you need to contact someone like myself to go through it so that you can see if it's something that you really want to do or not, because waiting is only going to make your situation more difficult. Because one of the factors of reverse mortgages are the fact that it's based upon your age and the value of your home. So if your value of your home decreases, that can also affect how much you can qualify for, or it might knock you out of eligibility altogether, depending on your situation. So this is one of those instances where waiting and over due diligence, so to speak, might cost you a little bit. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk today is about just the personalities that you meet when you do what I do, and when you visit seniors in their homes. And I'll give you an example. There's a lady I'm helping right now up in Long Beach, and her husband just recently passed away in July. So it's been 3 months. And when I first visited her, she was sad, but when you pull up to the house, when I came to see her, her house was literally falling apart around her. You could see the wood, the decay in the wood. There's a lot of wood rot, possible termites. There was, stucco was falling off, the foundation. You could tell that this house had a significant amount of deferred maintenance. I mean, in the backyard, there's a gazebo with a spa in it, and the gazebo had fallen over, and half the bottom was missing. I mean, you could just tell that this was once a house that, was very well maintained, that was no longer maintained, and it, probably due to the age and illness of the person who was responsible for maintaining the property. So anyway, So when I visited her and I told her about the things we could do with the reverse mortgage, one of the things I mentioned to her was, well, before we have the appraiser come out to appraise the house, I think you need to try to paint this house. You need to get it fixed up a little bit, because the condition of your house is going to, definitely relate to how much benefit you're going to get out of the reverse mortgage. And, the woman is a very, very sweet lady, and you can tell that she's not probably the person that was responsible for hiring people. So she says, okay. So next thing you know, she's out getting bids for painters to come over, and she calls me up and she's crying. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she says, I don't know, I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, well, how much are the bids coming in at? And mind you, this is not a very large house. So she says, well, I got one bid for $13,000, I have another bid for $10,500, and I have another bid for $11,000. And I'm like, dollars? I said, are you talking about dollars to paint your house? I said, I know there's some wood damage and stucco repair and stuff, but that seems like a lot for your size house. It was just a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. She says, yes. I said, well, can you do me a favor? She doesn't, and just to give you a little background on her, she has no children. And her brother and sister live thousands of miles away. She's not close to them. She has basically no one except for her and her husband. So now she's by herself, and she's stuck getting all these quotes from these painters. So she sends over these quotes, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I said, you know what, I'm going to help you find a painter. So I start looking, and I find a couple people. So I, basically off Yelp. So I send her the name over, and she arranges for them to come over. And I call her to check on her in the evening, and she's crying again. And I said, what are you crying for? And she says, Michael, you're going to be mad at me. I signed a contract. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be mad at you. I go, how much is the contract? She says, $10,700. I said, are you, what? And she says, they wouldn't leave my house until I signed. They stayed there for 4 hours trying to get me to sign this document. They kept saying they were calling their boss, and it was the last time they were going to offer it. 4 hours they were here, she says. And she says, so finally I just signed it just to make them leave. And I said, don't worry. I said, I'll take care of this. So I had her send over the contract to me. So I made a quick little phone call to them. And I said, you probably don't know who I am, but I'm going to tell you who I am. And so I told them that I was a lawyer. And I said, I know you're going to get rid of this contract pretty quickly, because otherwise, I'm going to go to the contractor board, and I'm going to tell them that you just planted out planted in the living room of a 70-year-old woman whose husband just died for 4 hours until she signed this. I said, there are laws against that. So I started pushing the guy back, and the guy started backtracking really. Well, we didn't know. You didn't know that you were there for 4 hours, I said. I said she knew you were there for 4 hours. And what's interesting, I said, you can look at her signature, and you can tell that she was scared or she was intimidated, and her signature wasn't even normal. I said, you better get rid of that contract, and I better never hear a word from you again. And I said, if I come across you doing this to another senior, you'll feel the wrath of God on you. And sure enough, I got rid of him. So at that point in time, I realized that I had to go and find someone that I knew. And I knew a painter who lived over in Inland Empire. So I said, would you mind going and giving a bid on her house? So he drove out there, and he gave me a bid. And it's far from him. And she's in Long Beach, he's in Inland Empire, so it's a little bit of a hike for him. But he did it, and you know how much he's charging her? He actually just finished today. You know how much he charged? Paul, do you have any idea? $3,500. She charged her $3,500 to do something that everybody else is trying to charge her over $10,000 to do. I mean, seriously. So anyway, there's a lot the reason I like to do reverse mortgages is because I feel that can help people. And in this situation, here's a lady who can't make decisions very well right now because her husband just passed away. In fact, I just talked to her right before I came on the show, and she says, I called her just to check on her. I said, how you doing? And she's like, well, I'm cold. And I'm like, why are you cold? And she says, because my heater's not working, and it was cold last night. And I'm like, you don't have a heater? And she says, no. And she says, and I don't know what I need to do. So she's literally in bed right now with blankets over on top of her. And she's crying, and I said, Kathleen, her name's Kathleen, I said, believe me, there's a solution for everything that's going on in your life right now. I know you feel like everything is falling upon you because you have your house that needs to be repaired from years of neglect. And I said, but I said, it will end. We have to fix these things in order to do it, and I will help you find these people to help make sure that you do it right and cost effectively. I will not let someone come in and charge you $10,500 to paint your house. I won't do it. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying there are people out there that we don't even know, our neighbors or people you'll see at the mall, people you'll see someplace that are just like her. And I just want everyone to have a little bit of sympathy for that and to realize that the reverse mortgage, because when her husband passed away, she lost half her income. And so now she's only relying on her income and whatever they had in savings. But she has a house that's not quite paid off, but she has a lot of equity right now. This reverse mortgage is really, really going to change her life. It's going to allow her to eliminate her forward mortgage payment, and it's going to give her a line of credit that is going to really help her. And plus, we've set it up so she can have a 10-year payment of about $600 a month to help supplement her Social Security, and that should easily make a difference in her life. So I mean, she needs help, and it just breaks my heart when I see things like that. So that's why I wanted to talk to you a little bit about her, because as I drove here today talking to her on the phone, I almost didn't want to get on the radio today. I almost wasn't in the right frame of mind, because I'm thinking about her right now, sitting in her room, and this house that she's lived in for 45 years, and she's just under blankets, because I just want to go and help her find someone to help her get heat in her house now. So, but I told her I'd call her after I leave the radio show, and I'd get working on that. So anyway, up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming San Diego Union Tribune Successful Aging Expo. That's this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about that after the break. You're listening to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170, The Answer.